So good evening, everybody, and welcome to this session on data science research avenues in the post-pandemic era. I'd like to thank Christ College Management for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts with all of you today. I'm a faculty at Velo Institute of Technology, Chennai, and VIT has been recognized as an institution of eminence recently by the Government of India, and we hope to achieve top international level rankings very soon. I will start this presentation with a brief historic walkthrough from AI to deep learning. I would like to focus on the advancements of deep learning and data science and its role in keeping us all updated on the onset and spread of COVID-19. I will present insights into the future of AI and data science as we envision it to be post-pandemic. And since all of you students are going to be back on campus, I think your classes are starting on Monday. So I'm going to give you some ideas of how to make your virtual campus life interesting, exciting, and productive as well. I will now take you through a very interesting journey of the field of artificial intelligence, and I will bring you to the point of where it stands today. Now, I'll be sharing this PPT with all of you, so you can just sit back and enjoy this talk. Now, this figure puts the progress of the entire field in a nutshell. Now, the outer circle in red represents the AI as we knew it in the early days, say in the 1950s. Then we had hard-coded the knowledge and pre-programmed the systems to work in a seemingly intelligent manner. And of all the ways in which AI was integrated, machine learning emerged as the most popular and widely adopted method for over a decade now. But the next breakthrough actually came through the field of representation learning. I'm not sure if many of you have heard this term. Now, in machine learning, we had to hand design the features of variation for our classification and clustering tasks. But representation learning led us towards true automation, starting from the feature extraction stage onwards. Then with the availability of massive amount of data as well as computing power, we could actually model these using multi-layered deep neural networks. Now, this is another excellent depiction of the difference between AI, machine learning, representation learning, and deep learning. Now, these two figures, which I showed earlier and this one, are from a book called Deep Learning. Now, I will be talking about this book again in a short while. The link to the website of this book is given below. Now here, the gray colored boxes indicate the tasks that can actually be automated. Now there is no coloring in the AI track, as you can see. Now if you've been into robotics, where you had hard-coded all the process into the robo, then you are likely to be in this vertical track. While in machine learning, after hand-picking the features, if you can see, the task of classification or clustering can be automated. Hence, in machine learning, the success of classification of clustering depends on how well you choose the features of variation. But on the other hand, for representation learning and deep learning, it is more like a black box, doing everything automatically starting from feature extraction. Now, in the early days, say in the 90s, tasks that were intellectually difficult for humans were found to be relatively straightforward for computers. Because, as I said, we hard-coded the knowledge and defined it by a set of formal rules that only needed a quick lookup. Hence, we had Deep Blue defeating the chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov in 1997. But as we try to apply AI in many practical applications, such as automating routine tasks, understanding speech or images, making diagnosis in medicine, supporting basic fundamental research itself, we realized that algorithms needed to have an ability to acquire knowledge by extracting patterns from data, raw data. Now, this capability is called machine learning, And with the advancements of machine learning, object recognition, and speech recognition achieved some notable milestones as we know it. I'm sure all of you use the OK Google feature. But when it comes to speaker recognition, we realized that tasks that were indeed easy for humans were hard to formally describe. And these are the tasks that we solve intuitively, but will seem automatic. For example, after 10 years, if a cousin or a friend calls you, now most of the time we are able to recognize the voice, recognize a person from the voice with just a few words of conversation. How do we do this? Do you think the brain is actually storing the voice pattern of each and every person you meet in your life? Well, we thought it was doing it like that. But later we realized that humans are probably breaking down the patterns into simpler patterns in the form of features. For example, the next time you recognize my voice, you remember features from my voice, the pitch I use, the frequency, the tone, everything. And there are tools which help you to extract something like 40 features from an audio clip that you can give it. So the human brain actually breaks down the voice in the form of features and stores it as features and puts them all together dynamically during a decision-making process. So deep learning showed the way to build a hierarchy of concepts and learning complicated concepts from simple ones. That is, learning how to effectively represent features with minimum human intervention and presenting true automation, particularly in natural language processing and many other challenging applications. And that is why we all feel that we are in the deep learning era right now. So if you want to keep track of the latest advancements in deep learning, you need to follow these three pioneers of deep learning. Now, they received the Turing Award for the year 2018. Now, the Turing Award is like the Nobel Prize in computer science. Okay. Now, Yoshua Benjion, the first person, he is the founder of a lab called the Miller Lab in the University of Montreal, Canada. Now, he has co-authored a book on deep learning, and this is the book that I was referring to. It is a fantastic book, and the book is available for online reading in case you do not have access to the print version. Now, the prerequisite for understanding deep learning are linear algebra, probability, and a solid understanding of machine learning. And to have a good understanding of machine learning, I recommend these books as it takes you through a statistical learning approach with an R coding support. And these authors are from Stanford University. Jeffrey Hinton is from the University of Toronto, Canada, and he offers online courses on neural networks and deep learning. He is also the head of Google Research at USA. And hence, this is another website to look out for advancements in the field of deep learning. The third person, Jan LeCun, is the chief AI scientist at Facebook. And so it is very interesting to watch all of them compete and collaborate to bring out the best in artificial intelligence for the benefit of mankind. I'm not sure if you've heard this term reinforcement learning. It is different from traditional AI, and the fundamental principles of learning here are analogous to the way you learn how to cycle. Now, cycling is a skill we all acquire more by self-learning and practice, and by taking in feedback from the environment. Now, the father of reinforcement learning is Andrew Barto, and Professor Ravindran of IIT Madras was his PhD student. You must read this article about Professor Ravindran, who is known as the AI wizard of India. He also heads the Robert Bosch Center for Data Science and AI located at IIT Madras. Now, we have a big advantage because our college is close to IIT Madras and we get to attend a lot of events that they organize. You can visit and also attend some of their symposiums now because everything is online. There were many events that they conducted and many presentations that their researchers presented during this lockdown. I will share hereafter, if all the resources, I will share it through the faculty. Professor Ravindran's machine learning and reinforcement learning courses are also some of the best online courses in the country that are offered through NPTEL. Now, some of the traditional games are used as benchmarks to test the AI competencies of the algorithms being developed by various research labs across the globe. Now, in July 2019, I got to see this interesting news announcement that an AI program won a 6-player poker game. Now, here in this picture, you can see the AI program called Pluribus is player number 2. Now, this superhuman AI milestone was achieved as a collaborative work by research teams from Carnegie Mellon University and Facebook. Similarly, superhuman milestones have also been presented using a board game called Go. And this is a 2,500-year-old Chinese game. It's supposed to be one of the toughest games to play. Now, Google's company called Deepmind, which is located in London, this is like a dream destination company for computer science aspirants worldwide. And this company also presents its AI milestones through an AlphaGo project. Now, these research teams regularly put up updates on their achievements, and you can keep yourself updated on the state of the art in AI by visiting these websites. Now, like if you see most of the recent notable accomplishments of AI, okay, recent meaning last 1 or 2 years, it has been through the integration of deep learning and reinforcement learning. So just now I introduced these two terms to you, but here we see, a combination of these terms called deep reinforcement learning. And it was deep reinforcement learning behind the success of this AI milestone achieved and demonstrated through the game poker. And there were also other AI milestones achieved and demonstrated by playing another game called Atari. I would now like to focus on the data science aspects of AI. Now, data science is an interdisciplinary field as depicted here in this Venn diagram. Now, it is basically a combination of algorithms, statistical analysis, and domain knowledge. So if you need or you would need a domain expert to be in your team, for instance, if you're building some application on analysis, sports analysis, say football, either you should know everything about the game football, or you should have somebody in the team who has a good knowledge about the game. So similarly for any domain, if it's healthcare, you must have a doctor in your team, or if it's a supply chain. So you need a domain expert in your team. Besides that, you can acquire all the other skills. But nowadays, I always tell students to, try to bring your passion and your profession together. So besides your studies, all of you may have some hobbies or some activities. So you can actually display. All that you need to do while you're in college is to demonstrate your knowledge. And I think you can use a domain which is very close to your heart and you're very passionate about. Let it be music, sports, or anything environment related, whatever you're passionate about. Now, basically, there are 3 categories of people working in data science. Now, some contribute to the development of the field by introducing new and efficient algorithms for data analysis, while many in the software industry are automating the field. And this has resulted in fantastic cloud-based services for data analysis and visualization. But there are many others like faculty and students in academia who continue to use it for our research and prototype developments. So in the pre-pandemic era, say December 2019 and earlier, we were using all these state-of-the-art technology to expand our knowledge and to find new answers. And we did this all in a very relaxed pace. Okay, we applied the scientific breakthroughs to solve real-world problems, such as identifying eye diseases faster, understanding protein folding. In the Indian context, we had NASSCOM and its collaborators bringing together a citizen-centric platform called AI for Good, providing the much-needed support to boost agriculture in India. And then came the COVID 2019 pandemic and the lockdown. Now, it struck without any warning, And we were clueless about its spread and impact until we realized quite late that it was a global pandemic indeed. So the question is, what were we able to do with all our state-of-the-art AI models? Or how did it help to combat this pandemic? Let me take you through some interesting aspects of how data scientists are trying their best to help during this crisis. Now, I'll be taking you through many interesting websites actually that have displayed their innovation in this current context. Now, you can go back and read more in detail about some of the work that you're particularly interested in. Okay. So the first one I'd like to talk about is this webpage of the Center for Data Science at the New York University, USA. Now, they have collected remote recordings of breathing patterns to analyze and see if there is a link between breathing pattern and respiratory diseases to enable contact-free screening of patients. Now, as doctors today face new challenges of having to diagnose through telemedicine platforms, these kinds of AI-based decision-making tools will be a great support for our medical fraternity. New York University has put up a very comprehensive website providing information about all their projects and initiatives. You must take a look at how the faculty and students, in collaboration with a few other universities, are doing their best to contribute and help in the current COVID crisis. We also heard about a very innovative mobile application that was launched by the University of Cambridge. Now, this app was used to collect data to develop machine learning models that could predict if a person has been infected with the virus based on the sound of their voice, breathing, and coughing pattern. Now, the app will help to crowdsource data basically, and they require this data to train algorithms. So what is important right now during this ongoing crisis is to collect data. So if you look at these two projects, which I just spoke about, you'll see the need and the potential to develop innovative remote screening mechanisms. Now, there is very little known about this virus, and hence most of the predictions of death rate in particular were found to be inconsistent. We all know that, like an international group of data scientists led by the University of Sydney's Center for Translational Data Science found that 70% of the predicted deaths due to COVID in US did not correlate with that predicted by the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation. Now, this is the prediction for UK, okay? So what we can observe from all these statistics that were thrown at us is that this virus is a whole new story. And none of our earlier wisdom, I would say, that we built into our AI models were able to make accurate predictions for us. However, data analysis and visualizations provided spectacular insights that helped the governments and healthcare professionals to steer the nations towards a safe shore. You must have seen and used some of these interactive dashboards which provided from a worldwide view to the color of the zone in your neighborhood. And a very interesting observation is that many of these visualizations were created by students. Okay, and this is a link to a very beautiful dashboard created by a student from India. I'm sure many of you in your university, in your college, and even at VIT, many students had created, but that was a little later. This was sometime in May itself, I observed that of this particular, the work done by this particular student, okay? This is a work done by a student called Tarun Kumar, a final year student of IIT Dhanbad. He has shared all his resources in his GitHub repository. This is his GitHub repository. Basically, he has participated in this Kaggle India Data Analysis Challenge. I think Kaggle is throwing many challenges. You can pick up any challenge and also work on it. He had presented, so this was sometime, I think I took the screenshot sometime in May. So he had presented his findings in a very comprehensive manner. I think the students can also continue to work on this project and learn a lot of practical tips, from the approach he took, and you can learn a lot from the students, basically, So peer learning is something that you can explore at this point. There were also a whole lot of well-wishers making data and APIs available for public use. Now, this blog has a collection of APIs and data sourced from the Ministry of Health and Family Affairs and other unofficial sources, which are probably our students who web scrape data for us. We also saw a lot of cloud-based companies providing data analytics services for COVID-related analysis. Google has made COVID datasets public for researchers, and it can be accessed through their cloud platform. Now, looking at all this, I was telling myself that there couldn't be a better time to be a data analyst. And all this is being made available primarily because we need more and more insights into this mysterious virus that has already killed lakhs of people around the world. Now, a year ago, Facebook had launched this portal called Data for Good. And they were encouraging us researchers to use the data that they had put up for public. Okay. Now, this website gives details of a COVID mobility network project done in collaboration with universities across the world. Now, and using this Facebook data, I had mentioned about Professor Ravindran and his team at IIT Madras had presented insights about the lockdown compliance at Chennai being the worst. And it also reflected in showing how Chennai continued to be a hotspot beyond the first lockdown 1.0. Similar analysis of human mobility was presented at London, and this helped to plan social distancing strategies prior to the lockdown. Now, with regard to mobility data, if this support is given by the telecom company, okay, we try to do a lot of tracking using location tracking and all that. But if we could get the SIM card based do a SIM card based tracking, which only telecom companies can do, like Jio is a major player, and if Jio had taken a very timely step forward, they could have actually provided a model like this of migrants, where and when they were moving, and we could have got all the information needed to make sure that the migrants did not have to suffer like they did. Sentiment analysis of social media data was also used to study consumer and citizen behavior, and this is an example of where it was used for better supply chain and lockdown measures. Mila, so I'm just taking you through and showing you what different people did. Okay, so there were so many things you could do, and certain research labs chose one or two aspects to focus on. For example, Mila Lab, led by Yoshua Benjion, set up this Elias Society for COVID research, and they seem to be focusing on contact tracing and drug discovery. Okay, and this dashboard provided by WHO was one of the most visited and trusted visualizations. We had many dashboards, and I'm sure you would have visited some of them. Now, several resources were also made available for research publications, and this is for the faculty who are here. And many papers were very quickly reviewed and published. So if you had made best use of that lockdown period, you could have got some very good publications up. So if you're motivated to work on a related field, you must first understand how the landscape of the field itself is changing. So let us look at the predictions now of how the post-pandemic era will be, and also the new research avenues that will probably open up for us post-pandemic. Okay. Now, this blog talks about 9 ways in which machine learning can help fight this viral pandemic, such as identify who is most at risk, diagnose patients, develop drugs faster, finding existing drugs that can help, predict the spread, understand the virus better, identify hosts in the natural world, map where viruses come from, and probably even predict the next pandemic. There are also predictions on how the data science landscape will change. We can expect advancements in streaming analytics, democratization of data, cloud adoption, robust natural language processing solutions, and also looking beyond prediction. So now I would like to give you all some ideas that you can consider working on in future, or even you can start right away. You can take up many India-specific issues, or you can take up some local issues at Irinjalakuda itself and come up with some innovative solutions. Okay. Now, I would like to begin with fake news. I'm sure that all of you will agree with me that it was just such a menace during the lockdown period itself. You must watch this video on how fake news about corona became such a second pandemic, actually. But there are several papers, research papers, that said that if you're able to model the spread of fake news, you can counter it. But then, okay, we had a lot of research papers on how to do it, but practically, in a situation to rise up and face it, it was very difficult in the last minute. So to counter fake news, all that we did was we had doctors with their stethoscope and in their dress, posting videos and awareness about prevention and immunity building and so on. So this is all we did to counter fake news, in my opinion. But we had fact-checking mobile apps made specifically for COVID-related fake news. And this one that you see here is by IIIT Delhi. Okay, so fact-checking is a very interesting area. You can also look at everything. Every slide is actually opening up a whole research avenue for you, okay, if you observe. Now, there are many research publications about understanding many aspects of fake news. Okay, so there was this recent publication that spoke about the challenges in dealing with fake news. And this is very well depicted in this picture. Okay, so by understanding these dimensions, countermeasures and intervention strategies are probably easier to formulate. Because in fake news, what is more important is to understand, first of all, what is the content of the news, what is the sentiment behind the news, what is the intention of the news, who created the news, is it a human or is it a bot, or what is the medium, is it social media, is it a broadcast media? So you can see if you look at the cross section of the problem, it is quite complicated. But we need to face it and move on and try to counter it. So these are the cross section view of the problems. I'll share the slide. You can take a look at it. Opening up even one avenue will help you with some kind of a outcome in the form of a product or even a research paper. IoT-based digital platforms for remote monitoring critical infrastructure is also absolutely necessary. In fact, we could have prevented and averted industrial accidents like we saw the LG polymer gas leak at Vizag and many other industrial which was not reported because we just had to shut down our industries, shut down everything, and then we had these months of lockdown. So if we had a remote monitoring system in place, we could have probably been better prepared for an immediate lockdown. Now, you'll realize starting from Monday when your classes start that we all need AI-enabled platforms to monitor the students' involvement during the online classes. So there are lots of memes and fun jokes about how students are placing their photo and they're going and sleeping and this. So, our classes started on July 13th, and we've even finished our assessments, first round of assessments. So we had to figure out our own way of finding out if the student is alerted. So we had, we teachers have a group where we discuss, we share our own jokes about how we, pulled up students who were sleeping and all those kind of fun things. But basically we require a technology platform because when I'm teaching, like now, I'm delivering this lecture, I want to focus on what I'm talking. I don't want to be, distracted by trying to check because I don't have eye contact with any of you right now. So I don't want to keep checking in the middle of my class whether you're attending the class or whether you're attentive and things like that. So there should be an AI platform which does that job for me. So you need AI-based assistance for teachers, for better implementation of all these. But I would say online classes, if you look at technology-wise, it's been successful to a great extent, provided you have uninterrupted power and a good internet bandwidth. And if government can provide laptops, power and internet to rural India, then I think online learning is sure to be more effective as it can be personalized and the students can also choose their pace of study. But the biggest challenge is online exams. How do we conduct exams? There's a ongoing case in Supreme Court as well. So this is a big challenge. In fact, this whole week we conducted our assessment exams and we have a lot of funny anecdotes to share. But currently, if you see, programming tests for placements are being successfully conducted using proctored methods to monitor. But this technology needs to be extended to written exams and MCQs as well. So I think if you students can take up the responsibility of developing the technology by which we can conduct fair examinations for you all, okay, that will be a great help for us. Some India-based solutions. We don't want to depend on the Chinese for all these kind of solutions. So you can think of a way of how we can conduct examinations, how we can make a proctored way of doing even writing exams, the way we would do it, as close as it would be to a physical scenario. We will soon have smart cameras that will check if you're wearing a mask and maintaining social distance. Now, this is a very interesting computer vision problem. You can ask some students of your college to develop this for your campus, and you can always take the solution out and probably patent it or even give it out to a startup. We will soon have cameras that will even capture your temperature remotely. So what you can see from all this is there is a lot of innovation likely to come up in remote screening of physiological parameters, because a lot of support is required in telemedicine. Telemedicine, I think, is a term we've been hearing for some 20 years now, but we never really cared much about it too much. But we need to keep our doctors safe distance because we need them to be healthy and fit as well. Okay, so this has become very important. Technology to help doctors, technology to help teachers, and in every other field wherever you can think of. So literally, this pandemic has opened up a whole new, I would say, a plethora of opportunities for you, the students right now in college, to build the kind of prototypes that India is looking for. Contact tracing using smartphones was another important and very useful application. Now, this is not only for the pandemic. I was just trying to think this contact tracing would even help during antisocial activities, for crime prevention, many applications it has. You would have realized that every country had its own version of this contact tracing app. And I think this screenshot is the app launched by Oxford University. And as you can see, most of them are dependent on the Bluetooth. Your Bluetooth should be on, and only then it will actually work. The functionalities will be tapped. But of course, every country had their own version. And I think you must go and look at the MIT's technical review about all the apps by the different countries. This is a very nice platform for you to understand. I'm sure most of you will make apps and all that. I think Arogya Setu app, we got, I think, 2 stars out of 5, 2 or 3, I'm not sure. But you must go and look at the apps which actually got a good rating. Okay, because it's the same problem statement done by countries across the world. So, it's like I give you a problem and 60 students solve the same problem. So I'm able to, analyze it. So this is a very nice analysis that you can make for app development. And you can go and see why our Arogya Setu app got only 2 stars. Of course, the fundamental problem in contact tracing here was the Bluetooth that we needed. Now, supposing if I am COVID positive, I leave my mobile at home and then I just go for a walk. You're never going to know, whether you had come into contact with somebody who would have possibly infected you, provided that person and you have your mobiles and your Bluetooth on. Okay, so that's the reason why. But this would have been very effective if we could have done it using the SIM card. The telecom companies could have done it more effectively. But of course, there are privacy issues there. And the second thing is, again, if I don't take my mobile out itself, then how do you track? Okay, so these are some of the challenges in these kind of applications. But nevertheless, people release them and have been using them as well. Twitter data is also, if some of you are into Twitter and everything, we saw so many debates, heated arguments, everything happening over Twitter, and it also had a potential to provide valuable insights into the spread and management of the virus. There is an ongoing COVID tracking project, and Twitter data is also open to public for analysis. I also happened to notice one research paper which was published, I think in June 2019, the title being Pandemic Monitoring Using Twitter Data. So there were a lot of visionary papers also prior to the pandemic, and I think you should also look at the whole scenario from the history of how people started. So if you're looking at Twitter data, then you need to look at what is the state of the art with Twitter data, what have people done before moving on, because you shouldn't keep repeating what somebody has done. Now, as the lockdown ends, humanity is going to need touchless interfaces wherever possible. And as you know, airports were the first to announce touchless check-in and services. And you can see here, she's just using a QR scanner. Okay, so QR is something which is already there. Okay, but then we thought of, okay, this is a very good interface because you're anyway touching your mobile. Okay, other than your mobile, you should be able to fly to another country without literally touching anywhere. So that is a kind of touchless interface that people are going to expect more and more. We need to now learn how to operate our elevators in a contactless manner. Here is an example of a holographic buttons. There are all lots of leg operated voice. Is a very funny video of how voice enabled elevator. You must go and see that video. I think some of the students must have seen it. So we can look forward to many more innovations that will focus on integrating touchless interfaces with the world outside. So this is one term which you students can catch on. Okay, take an existing way of how we did things and make it touchless. Okay, so when I say touchless, I mean not using your hands. Okay, it's okay to use your legs right now because you're not going to touch your face with your legs. So it's only the hand which is a dangerous interface. So we had, very simple solutions, pedal-based mechanisms for hand wash, and we saw even for sanitizer dispensers and also for soaps. So you see, this is an open air, and in these challenging situations where there is no power available, I think these kind of very innovative ideas were very interesting to see. On the other hand, if you have more high-tech sensor-based washroom taps and all that, this also got a very extended application. Okay, so when you have sensors, you can always build systems that you can audit. Okay, like for example, supposing you've told the people in your office to wash their hands with soap and sanitizers. You can actually check how much of water was used, how much of sanitizer. So you can actually audit the use of the resources. That is a big advantage in using sensors and so on. So you can have touchless, plus you can have, and these sensors are not very expensive today. So these are the kind of things, when you have power, go for these kind of facilities. When you don't have, go for. So in every scenario, you must be able to build a solution. Don't say, oh, I need a battery, I need this much power, and all that. In the given situation, you have to solve the problem. Okay, but I feel that the next big wave in creating touchless interfaces is through voice. Okay, so voice is the safest. Okay, but there are two big challenges. Now, Alexa can now chat in Hindi, but India issue cannot be solved with just Hindi. Okay, we have 22 official and many more unofficial languages. And taking all dialects also into consideration, I think it is estimated to be about 20,000 languages in India. So to all the students, I just want to tell you that here is a huge space for innovation and development. Okay, so I was also speaking to the head of engineering at Amazon, and he was also telling me that they are looking at a lot of voice-based apps and things like that. So, but the only challenge is when you use voice as a biometric. Okay, so like speaker recognition, speech recognition is fine, but like for example, in my house, if you want to make even the, supposing you live in an apartment complex and you want to make the common areas touchless, okay, voice based. So you can train the doors and the gates to open up for the people who are actually residents. You can train the system to understand. So an outsider's voice, it will not open. So voice is a biometric you can successfully install in private places and in semi-private places. Okay, but in public spaces where you want to walk through, get into a metro station, and there is, there's a door which needs to be opened. You can't have a voice as a biometric there. You can just have a system where you say open and it opens. So speech recognition systems can be installed everywhere. But speaker recognition, when you want to use as a biometric, it can only be done in private or semi-private spaces. So this is something that you should also look at exploring using voice. And in German border, we had seen how voice was used to identify the refugees from where they come from. And we have a huge NRC issue on our northeast border. I'm sure you're also in touch with all the issues happening up north in India. So you students must pick up India-specific issues and come up with solutions. Now, there is a saying which says, if you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it. Okay, And this is a good example that we saw, the migrant crisis. Now, if we had a database of or some documented information on interstate migrants, we could have probably used the mobility tracking to understand the volume of movement of the migrants. Now, most of them use mobile phones, these migrants, and I have seen many of them, using WhatsApp. At least there'll be one smartphone per family. So we could have actually been better prepared to help them to reach their home safely if we had put good use to the existing technologies that we have developed. Okay, so that was the thing. We did not give a timely solution for this because we never thought of this. We were all very comfortable in our homes. We never thought of these migrant crisis that was very unpleasant things that we had seen. So just very before I end, I just want to take you through a very interesting aspect of what you can do starting from Monday as you experience a virtual campus life. Now, you must remember that there are three entities while we are going through this college. Okay, there's academia, there's industry, and there's research. So academia industry connect, I think in a natural process itself, your faculty will be able to bring you these kind of, you will have speakers from the industry talking to you, you'll have placement training, this happens naturally in all colleges. But I would say industry is about 5 years ahead of academia. But research is, I would say, 10 years ahead of academia and 5 years ahead of industry. So if you're only going to connect with the industry, so in the second year, and you're dealing with some technology with industry today, by the time you pass out and come to the final year, that technology will be obsolete. So you have to actually interact with research labs and try to get some insights, or at least be aware of what is happening in the research labs to know that what is the kind of technology that is going to be in place when you graduate. Okay, so today dealing with industry is okay, it gives you practical knowledge, but dealing with simultaneously research labs is also important. I'm sure all of you know that we are going through the fourth industrial revolution. That is why there's a big craze for the field of computer science. And what I see is, a requirement here is not just for computer science skills, it is for interdisciplinary skills. And I think you should go and explore and see what is this cyber physical systems and what is industry 4.0 and so on. So this is for your principal and the faculty and the management. If you want your students to be ready for industry 4.0, you must provide classroom 4.0 for the students. So what is the words that are trending in academia is not if you are computer science or ECE or EEE. This was our generation, we tell which branch. So today a branch is just, one place where you have parked yourself inside the campus. But these are the buzzwords: interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary. These are the kind of terminologies that the industry is looking at. So during your 4 years, your activity should be split like this. Okay, you have inside classroom activity, you have outside classroom activity, you have outside campus activities. So say a typical classroom in VIT, we have, of course, you will have most of them digital assignments, mini projects, quiz, hackathons. In VIT, one of the assessments, the faculty are allowed to conduct an hackathon, and based on the hackathon also we can give. So a little more freedom we have because we are a university, and of course, these things can be brought in as co-curricular activities outside the classroom. So for us, all this is inside classroom, but for you, since you're an affiliated college, some of them will be inside, some will be outside the classroom. So flipped classes, open book exams, closed book exams, and all these kind of things. So hackathons is something that prepared our students very much for a lot of outside campus activities to go and win competitions. Recently, there's the Smart India Hackathon, and I heard that one team EC students had won from your college as well. Congratulations to that team. So it was, so I had also mentored a team which won. And I think during the day one interaction with our Prime Minister, I had seen very good interaction from the Ernakulam nodal point. I think it was MGM College was the nodal point, but I really enjoyed listening to the conversation of the students from Kerala with our Prime Minister. It was very nice, and most of the projects were very innovative. So this was my team. And in fact, these students, they may have seen me, but I have never met them. So they just contacted me during this lockdown and said, ma'am, can you mentor us? And it was completely remote. Two guys were from Bihar, one guy was from West Bengal, one guy was from Maharashtra, and this one girl was from Chennai. So we had never met. So it was literally a remote preparation. Okay, so we met online, we discussed, everything was online. The problem we solved was with the government of Bihar. It was estimation of crop yield using ICT tools. So we came up with a very innovative way. We had a deep learning model at the back end. We had the app, and then it's the farmer. So most of the other teams, they were from Triple IT Bangalore and all that. So they came up, they thought of, using satellite image and all, very hi-fi stuff. We just thought of a very simple solution, which is practical, you can even deploy tomorrow. That is, we thought of an idea of where the farmer can actually take a picture of the plant disease in the initial stage with his smartphone. So assuming today that smartphones are easily accessible and available. So with this, we are able to make a prediction of what will be his yield and trying to analyze and see what is the disease. And so then, he can, and there's a whole revolution there on organic farming, and this will help the farmers to use the right quantity of pesticides, whether it's chemical or organic, and fertilizers. We also came up with very interesting solution for e-fencing and things like that. So the farmer will not have fraudulent claims made. He can go to his neighboring farm and take a picture and post it. So we came out with a very nice solution of e-fencing the farm, and very interesting it was. And all these solutions got us the first prize, and this was very interesting. So these are some of the tools, and none of them were taught, of course, maybe machine learning, but all the other things I think the students learned on their own. So, so these were some of the technology used. We had two other teams also which won. So most of the technology that they learn on their own only. And in fact, last week I had also watched, I think this link is still available, you can go and watch. There was an app innovation challenge. I don't know if any students from your college took part. Very interesting. I think if the link is available, you must go and watch. I think it is still available. So, they gave out prizes for the best designed apps. And this was happened at a national level. Very interesting in all categories: entertainment, gaming, education, all categories. App design open challenge was there. So in order to prepare the students to, one is to face these kind of challenges outside campus, and to face the industry, and to be better prepared in all aspects, I thought, okay, I should start a forum to bring these students together. So I started this forum called VITHINK, V-I-T Think. It's an AI student research forum. I identified some seniors. So I was the head of a branch called new BTech program called Electronics and Computer Engineering. But I'm a pure computer science faculty, but at VIT, they asked me to create this new course. So these are the first batch students. So I created some AI trainers, and we built this whole activity of seniors training juniors. Okay, so even in the first year, so this boy you see here sitting in front in the blue t-shirt, he's first year student. So he was AI trained even in the first year. So we had mentors for the night in the portal. We had, seniors, and since largely all the students stay on campus, we had most of our activities. So they used to say, what is the activity? And you see, they used to take small groups. The guy who's standing is a senior. This is in our library. This was night till 12 o'clock in the night. After dinner, these students meet up. So I had to get special permission for them. All this is monitored, but today you don't have to, really physically be there. Okay, you see all of them are in their laptops. They can sit in their homes. So this, we think, activity, we are thinking of actually taking it even outside the campus. So if very soon I'll be kickstarting the activities for this year. And I can also get our VITHINK students to do some workshops for students of your college also, and vice versa. You can also share some of your skills with our students as well. Okay, so this is something that they really enjoyed, and I think peer learning is something you should encourage and give the students that space. You see how interested they are, in all these activities. We also had students sharing. See, there is one rule in VIT where if you are a 9-pointer, attendance is not compulsory. So this girl was a 9-pointer. So literally she was never on our campus. So after her second year, she went and did a summer course in Stanford University. Then she came back. Then she went to Singapore for 2-3 months. And then she came back, and then she was in Germany, Google. So, 9-pointers need not be on our campus. So when they come back, they inspire the juniors, and, We had many sessions even with a lot of foreigners who visit our campus, ask me anything kind of sessions. We also brought renowned people like this Professor Raj Gopalan. We had a lot of brainstorming sessions with students, going on literally 8 hours, 9 hours continuously. We came up with lots of solutions. I think fake news is one thing which came up very quickly. So this boy, Amey, the paper got accepted in KDD's workshop. I'm not sure if you're aware that KDD is ranked as one of the best conferences in the world for computer science. So a simple brainstorming session, I think this boy would have just met me some 5 hours and we did this paper together. It's in the archive link. You can go and download and read this paper. Then we also had Ebenezer. He was another research student who I mentored. He's a researcher at Ericsson. Right now he works with Ericsson Research, and he also comes. So all my previous students, they come back and they throw out a lot of problems. For example, this is a fishbone diagram. Okay, so if anybody is able to give you a fishbone diagram, it's like giving you a map of the whole area. Okay, so gait analysis, basically your whole body language, you can use for analyzing your behavior, pathology. It's a very robust biometric and also for biomechanics. So he had thrown about 20 open problems and he showed his work, what he had done. All his publications are available online if you're interested in this. I think very soon we're going to have airports. Right now airports work with face recognition, but again, face recognition, you can hack into those kind of systems and block those systems, but I think nobody can imitate another person's walk. And your walk is supposed to be your most robust biometric, and a lot of work is happening. We've also connected with the world's best research team located in University of Southampton. They're the world's best team one of the world's best teams, and we have connected with that team as well. One of the research problems, I think, called clothing invariant gait recognition for computer vision based biometric and surveillance. So the student had given 20 problems, and in that one problem, the student had taken for a conference in the US, and we got the best research poster award. And the Stanford University professor was a judge, and he gave 10 on 10 for this work, and they made a very special announcement about how it was very, very innovative. So this is how we prepared ourselves before we actually went contacted industry around. So the first thing we looked around to see, okay, now my students are ready, how do I take them to the industry? So Nokia, we had an industrial belt called Oregon Industrial Belt, and Nokia was about 35 kilometers. So there are two identical factories. One is in Finland and one is here near our college. And so this is a factory, and you can visit their websites. They make 5G technology. So you see all these towers and you see these rectangular boxes on them, and those are the so there are 2,500 components which go into this, and it's completely automated factory, but I would say it's factory 3.0, and they're looking at a seamless transformation into factory industry 4.0. So I had taken 20 students and we visited the factory, we identified problems, and over summer 2 months, these students solved those problems. It was very, very interesting. Then the next year again, we had visited, identified problems, but the lockdown started. And so we were really wondering what to do. But nevertheless, students said, ma'am, we are free now, let's do it. And so we set up a server outside, and we completed, I think we completed one module. And this module Nokia is using. So we are creating, software that would be, professionally developed. The same thing can be professionally developed as well. So the second project, that is Freight Recommender System, Module 3 is going to be completed very soon. So all this we did during the lockdown, okay, remotely. We worked, and very interesting. Another connection was with PayPal Innovation Lab. Like I told you, you have to connect with innovation labs. Nokia was like an industry kind of connection, but Innovation Lab builds the next generation technology. This was about just 20 kilometers. So this was very good. This again, they gave us some problems to solve. I would just take students in the afternoon and bring them back after their classes and all that. And the mentors were like very, very impressed with the solutions that we came up. These were some of the pictures we took. And finally, on one day, we had the head of their research lab listening to all up, and they offered internships and all that. Then the next year they conducted a value-added program called on REST API. And so again, some 150 students wanted, they said they'll pick up only 30 students. And while they were training these 30 students, they identified some students And this was on the final day. All the people sitting in the first row are from the PayPal Innovation Lab, heads of various departments. These three students got a pre-placement offer. In the third year, they got an offer letter in their hand even before placement started through this interaction with the industry. So if faculty can go and bring problems to the campus, and if the students can use that opportunity to prove their skills, then company is not looking for anything CGPA, nothing. They're just looking for your skills. One of the girls got into Microsoft. Again, she got a pre-placement offer. So all these students got their job by third year end. This girl, Ipshita, was also part of this activity here by PayPal. And she's got an offer of, I think, she's got an offer for, I think, 44 lakhs per annum is the offer she got. Samsung has got another very interesting project. So I don't know if as a college it will be easy for you to get into this PRISM project of Samsung. But what I'm saying is, you can actually emulate this model with other industries which are open to doing this. This is also very interesting. Samsung is like one of the best research labs in the world, I would say. The Bangalore office, we have a team who has given us some 20 problems, and from that we chose some problems that we want to do. I was part of the first round of projects. Now the second round of projects are just starting. I can give more details to faculty who are interested, but I think they choose the institutions and they look at tier 1, tier 2, and so on. So right now I can explain to you the model at which we did the PayPal model, the Nokia model. I can explain this model and you can emulate this within your mind. I'm not getting into the details of what we did with startups, but I think I have one or two examples a little later on. But I think Kerala has got a huge potential because they have a very good innovative mind. I remember I've seen at other colleges also. So I think you should, more than looking at super dreams, you must expose the students to startup companies and encourage students to set up their own startup companies. So outside classroom activities, another thing which is completely by the students, for the students, are these building these formula racing cars, electric cars, and all-terrain vehicles. We have 6 teams in our campus. So this car that you see here is completely built from scratch by the students. So there are students, and then they take it outside the campus, even outside India, they go to Australia. So if you see, these are the departments: powertrain, brakes, chassis, electrical. So what I noticed here, you see the management. What I noticed here is students recruit the members of the senior team. When their seniors are leaving, they recruit the next batch into this team. And every year they start from scratch. Okay, so this is just, I think, at some reason. So they start like this with the 3D modeling. This is the garage, how they load it, and then you have computer science students, you have electronic students, you have electrical students, you have mechanical students. So this is something where nobody teaches them. Of course, there is a fact. This is when they took it to Australia. So we have a faculty. This is a Formula Electric. The person on the left is a faculty, but faculty is just there because we can't send them alone on all these trips. No? So there is just a faculty, but it's completely done by the students, for the students. We have an all-girls team. This is an all-terrain vehicle. So, when I was reviewing some projects, I saw 8 boys were presenting some projects on the design of a smart kitchen. So I asked them, "You're designing a kitchen, why no girls in your team?" So they said, "Ma'am, when we said the word kitchen, they said, we are not interested. We guys want food, so we are designing this kitchen." And then, when I looked around, I found that these girls were more interested in welding cars. So I really like this, this complete gender imbalance issues that has been addressed by the girls themselves. And this is a all-terrain vehicle which was headed by this girl, Sanjana Iyer. She's from Mumbai. So they also won a lot of competitions, and finally, it's very interesting to see the healthy competition spirits that all these teams have within our campus. Social outreach also, I was a faculty mentor for this social outreach club, VIT Teach. We teach, very popular. You can go and visit our Facebook page also. So there's a school nearby which we adopted, and every afternoon we used to have a timetable where students used to go and teach. Besides that, we also took up some related problems. There was this Nayak Foundation which was serving food for 3 lakh meals per day. So they had a problem, like by the time they distributed the food, this is their kitchen. So you can see our students, I sent the students, they went to the kitchen in Maharashtra, early morning, 3 a.m. they started, they went through the whole process of packing and distribution. And we realized that the last child gets food only by 3 o'clock. So we did a different routing algorithm and gave them a different solution by which the last child will get food at least by 1:30. We also went to the rural part of a place called Tiruvannamalai, and we did some spoken English classes there. And it was very interesting to see how the students in rural India were very academically focused. They were very passionate about studying. They were very good in science and maths, but only thing they lacked is English speaking skills. And they used to just hug us and tell us, teach us English, teach us English. So this was Angilam Express. Angilam means English, and we created this. And this is the collector of Tiruvannamalai. He was my student, first batch engineering student. So he welcomed me and he said, ma'am, come to Tiruvannamalai, do whatever you want. So we did 6 camps. And it gave us a lot of valuable insights. I told the students, there's no point in physically going and doing charity work. Build technology so you can give the technology to other groups who can actually do similar work. And then we realized there's this whole problem of dyslexic children being unnoticed in the mainstream. So I took a few students, we went to a dyslexic center, and we trained ourselves and we built some technology for them. Due to lack of time, I'm just skipping all those details. If you're interested, you can also go and see. So Withink is a nice student forum. I think if your students are interested, I can connect you. So you all can have some activity. Now that everything is online, there is no geographical boundary anymore between states or countries. We're also planning to bring some international students into this teaching learning. Basically, I want to encourage more pure learning. Earlier today at 10:30 in the morning, we had flag hoisting on our campus. Only a few, we did not go. We were watching it on live webcast. This is a VP and Vice President and Executive Director. You see a lady in a pink sari there, and she's a lady who recently was in the news. Her name is Elias. On August 2nd, she was in the news for a very innovative way of how she picked up children from their homes. She said, I cannot take my salary without doing my job. And under the tree, she used to collect children and help them in small. She used to, go to the streets and sit down, find a place, and she was literally teaching the children. And our VP felt that, this is the best way to honor and glorify such people. So she was our chief guest today. And when VIT offered her a gift of 25,000 rupees, she said, please give it to my school. So, these kind of, passion of a teacher is something is so humbling. And I think you should go and read about her. Her name is Elias. And there were many very interesting stories that we saw. So we are all sitting in urban areas, and the biggest challenge is to see if the student is sleeping or not behind our classroom, behind the online screen platform. But there is huge problem for the rural children in the rural side. Yesterday I saw this poster, and I had also put it on my WhatsApp status. So there is this nursery and primary school who's collecting old mobile phones, because they want to put all the videos into the mobile phones and give it to the children so they can easily handle. So they have some 762 children. So, they were actually collecting all. So I think rural India, I think we need to think of some ideas in which we can support the rural parts of even close to the region where you are living. Now, the biggest, I think the innovation or a success story that we saw is the word, how this dunzo became a verb. You hear people saying, I'll dunzo it, So that was something that, we'd never, I don't know, I had not heard this word dunzo before the pandemic. So, doing things, smart working, building things that you feel. Now this with this pandemic, what are the things, what is essential services, how to provide platforms, what does education field need, what do doctors need, what is essential service, non-essential service, focus on essential service, because these kind of pandemics, bio wars, we're going to see a lot of this probably more of this. Hopefully not, but we have to be prepared. So the winners were, simple ideas. People with just ideas were winners, not the people who had state-of-the-art technology and AI technology. The winning ideas were from very simple teams of very young students who came up with a very interesting idea. I don't know if you heard this, the recent news that Byju's, the learning app, and White Hat Junior, Byju's bought White Hat Junior for $300 million. And White Hat Junior was just a small company started, I think 2-year-old company started by some IIT students. So you should also think of an idea. And after 2 years, in just 2 years, they sold it for $300 million. Okay, so you think, I have given you so many ideas today. You can also think of many ideas. Think of some solution for the people, for the mass, so that you will have a great economic and social impact in the country. And fine, after 2 years, let some company buy it, start the next company. So I have many students who do this, get acquired. You get $1 billion, then start your next, keep some for yourself, go on a holiday, enjoy yourself, and with the rest of the money, you start your fresh company again. This is some trend which we have to do in India. So this is the news. You can go and read about this. Just happened 1 week ago. Okay, so just try to see what kind of businesses became a success story in the pandemic, and follow them and see what is the history behind all that. So please remember, as I end this, I just want to leave one thought with you, okay? That all that you see here today, you'll think, oh, you need to know this and that and so on. An expert in anything was once a beginner. Please remember that, okay? Nobody was born an expert in anything. So begin now. Earlier in my slide, I used to have it as begin today. But now I think, I changed it and I said begin now. And I would like to end with this quotation from Mahatma Gandhi. And this quotation is about how the future depends on what you do today. Again, I wish it was now rather than today. Okay, so the best way to predict your future is to create it. Okay, so you have to, there's a lot of uncertainty, I know, but you are certain to succeed if you follow your passion. And I would just like to end with this Happy Independence Day note. And it was very nice. A lot of posters were circulating this. I like this today because here you can see Mahatma Gandhi leading a whole revolution. Okay, I think it's probably the Salt March. So what you can see from here is that the word Independence Day. Okay, so as students, do you think India is, okay, we are free from the British and all that, but is India independent, or are we dependent on other countries for our basic needs? Like China and other countries, are we dependent or are we independent? Okay, so truly we are dependent on your generation, so that we can truly see an independent India. Okay, so you need to think of indigenous solutions to come out. Even today, you and I are able to see each other because of Google, and Google is an American company. Okay, why can't we build a Google in India? So that way, you should make India independent. Okay, there's no point in sharing Independence Day poster. I think this poster should be an eye opener for you. You students, let it be start the movement at Irinjalakuda itself. But you can, as a team, start a whole revolutionary movement on how you build indigenous products to take our country forward. Okay, so this is my this is my Gmail address with my mobile number. This is a WhatsApp number. If you want more details on any specific thing, you can WhatsApp me or mail me. Something urgent, you can call me as well. My official mail ID is there in the first slide. Okay, so I don't know if.
Okay, Miss. Thank you so much.
Out, but if you have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am, for that wonderful session. And I'm pretty sure everyone over here will have plenty to note down from that knowledgeable session as well. So as we are running out of time, we will be moving to our open session. And if anyone has any queries, they can post in the chat box as well. I think we have one there, ma'am.
Yeah, so can you please share the application of data science in manufacturing industry and in the sports field? So manufacturing industry, it's more about supply chain. Okay, so they have demand, highly so much of variability in the demand. Okay, in some countries place the order for 500 units, suddenly they say 200 units, suddenly they say so much of demand, and the products that the basically your raw materials that you require. Okay, so that is supply chain. Okay, so a lot of analytics is needed for predicting demand. That is one thing. A second thing in manufacturing, what I noticed, particularly Nokia and all that, is almost two-thirds is used of the area, physical area and time and resources used for testing the product. Okay, if they're basically testing each and every product. So I feel if we could bring in some AI, so they can reduce their time and resources used for testing. These are the two places where manufacturing industry really requires data science. One is for prediction of supply chain, to help them in better planning of their production. The second is in the testing. Okay, even after testing, when it finally is deployed onto the the big pose that you see, there are products which fail. So so from that failure report, we learn a lot of things, and then we try to predict which product will fail and so on. So that these two areas are, otherwise there's complete automation. Literally, if you see the people standing there and putting things are just 10th graduates or 10th or 12th or diploma holders. You don't find any even qualified engineers in the shop floor. The shop floor is completely automated. Okay, so that is why there is no demand for engineers in the manufacturing sector, because everything is automated. And that's why you require data science engineers, because these two aspects, you need a lot of planning.
Hello, ma'am.
The other thing was about sports. Yeah, tell me.
When I was first taking out the field of data science, so when I was taking out the field, I felt that majority of the when we are trying to look at a job from a job perspective in the field of data science, I personally felt that majority of the things is math related, and the only computer related part is how to use computers to process math statements. So do you think it's just math?
So that is why, no, in one of the slides, I'll be sharing the slides. I told you in the data science, there are three categories of people. People who are contributing to new technology in the field. Then there are a second category who are actually, automating this whole process. So somebody comes up with a new method. Okay, and in the industry, you find people just building automated systems, like you have Power BI and tools which are very expensive, 5 lakhs for one license, but everything is provided as a black box. You put your data, you select the machine learning algorithm, you get your output. The only knowledge you require is to decide which algorithm to use. Even that also, even if you don't know which algorithm to use all the algorithms. In 1 hour you will get all your output, and then you see whichever gave the best output was possibly the best algorithm. So there's complete automation in this field of data science. So that is why, again, when there's a huge rush in the field of computer science, I am really afraid whether there's going to be so much of demand in the field. Right now, you need people in the industry to automate the tools. Okay. Of course, there are people who are bringing out new technology into the field, but there you have to be highly mathematical, and so that's only a small percentage. The majority is in this field, which is trying to use data science tools and automate the tools. So you're going to need lesser number of people to be using tools. To create the tools, yes, but at one point we are going to reach a saturation where everything is automated. So it's only a demand, I would say, for another 2-3 years, where you need people for automating these tools. After that, really, I'm also a little apprehensive about whether there's going to be such a huge demand for data science people. But what I'm saying is, you need people in all branches: mechanical, electrical, electronics. Everybody should know data science. Data science is going to be like it's just like how we studied physics, chemistry, maths, data science. It's just one elementary subject which everybody should know. So that is why it is important. It's not going to be a super specialization anymore. Every branch will convert 25% of its curriculum into integrating data science into it. because every branch will have data and they themselves must know what to do with the data.